I'm Sean Lee-Davies and this is TYCOON Talk. Today I'm spending time with the doyenne of hospitality in Hong Kong and the queen of confectionery, Bonnae Gokson. Hong Kong is one of the wealthiest cities on the planet. I'm on a journey to meet the most successful business leaders who can inspire a new generation of entrepreneurs to help our city remain truly world-class. I also want to get behind the public persona and find out their secrets for extreme success. Bonnae Gokson has always cut her own stylish path through life. She grew up surrounded in style. Her grandfather established the famous Wing On department stores in Shanghai and Hong Kong. And her sister is Joyce Ma, founder of the eponymous Joyce fashion and retail brand. Working alongside her sister for many years, Bonnae was instrumental in the expansion of the company as chief of visual merchandising and buying. Today, Bonnae is master of her own mini empire, with her Sevva restaurant now in its 7th year and a number of outlets offering her own brand of cakes. To fuel her creative process, Bonnae really likes to stay in shape. I catch up with her one morning at the Peak, where she's out for an early hike. So you look incredibly fit. I mean, how often do you hike?
I actually love hiking. I mean, I think it's so beautiful to start off the day with, being in nature trails. But it all depends on the weather, and I would say twice a week.
Are you one of those early risers?
No, I'm not. I'm around an 8 o'clock girl, And I like to take it very easy. Breakfast in bed always.
Breakfast in bed?
Yes, wow. It's just like Downton Abbey. I'm an ancient, gal, sitting there reading my newspapers and just doing my meditation or contemplation. I need that space to start off, to kick off the day.
Before you jump into it and then it's non-stop.
That's right.
We join up with Orlando, Bonnie's personal trainer.
One needs to make time, I think too many of us keep on saying, oh, I'm busy. I mean, I would like not to hear about it, but you have to prioritize your personal time and business.
Yeah, that's right.
How can you have something very calm and positive coming to you when you're all over the place?
Right. Orlando takes us through the paces, and Bonnie shows me why she's in such good shape.
Good. If you feel tension, bring the arm a little closer so you can hit the spot. You're not turning enough now. Turn a little bit more. That's it. How about 6 more times? 2, 3, 1. I'm a trainer, not a businessman. Come on. 2 more. 2, 6. Yes!
Yeah.
It's really good how sturdy you keep your bottom half, and that's important because the more sturdy you are, the more you can isolate. The more you can isolate, the more you hit the spot.
Hit the spot.
Yes. How about 6 more? Okay. 1, 3, 1, 4. What time is lunch, man? Okay, 2 more. Last one. Squid out. Yes. Bingo. Oh.
Multitasking is very much of our form.
Yeah, multitasking.
Yeah.
Talking and training.
What's important about this, Bonnie, is working out, being successful in business, it all takes a lot of willpower. And willpower is something you have to renew every day.
Discipline.
Discipline. I think that's essential to any kind of business or art form.
That's true.
And where do you get yours from? Or is it just something you've built up? Or is it genetic?
It takes time. I mean, whether you want it or not, nothing, I don't think anything comes that easy.
Right, you got to work at it.
Exactly.
Orlando pushes us through a few more exercises before it's time to move on.
Working the bum.
That was fascinating, watching Bonnie working out with her trainer, Orlando. Clearly, she's a woman with a lot of energy. I was very impressed by her fitness levels. I was quite out of breath myself at one point. We're now going to go and see Bonnie at work and find out what her creative process is like. I've been told that Bonnie is very much a hands-on type of creative and entrepreneur. She chooses every bit of furniture in her cafes and restaurants. We're now going to go visit an interior design store where she picks out the actual fabrics, textures, as well as the samples, which she then later puts together to work her magic. Bonnie has had a multifaceted career in many industries. In the early 1980s, Bonnie teamed up with her sister, Joyce Ma, as Chief of Visual Merchandising and Buying, later becoming Joyce's right hand. In 1998, Bonnie started her own special events business, but 2 years later, she joined Chanel as their Regional Chief of Image and Communications for Asia Pacific. In 2008, Bonnie opened the Sevva restaurant. In 2011, Bonnie founded Miss B's Cakery, changing the dynamics of the cake industry in Hong Kong, followed a year later by her first C'est la Bee Cafe, selling her cakes alongside other delicacies. Where did you hone your skills?
I think I get asked a lot this question, but I think a lot of it started when I grew up in our own home. My family, from my mother to my aunties to my sister, they were all very stylish and meticulous. And when I joined my sister's business in the fashion business, that's Joyce, and yes, I have opened about 40-odd stores for my sister under her umbrella then. I had a lot of training. And since I work with interior designers and architects for all these stores popping up, and Joyce always, chose very international artists. So I have certainly picked up a few things myself. And I love, isn't it meditative to be here, to be very focused? I guess not to you.
It's not my kind of meditation.
I love what I do because I just want to play house, that's all.
So you come here, you're like flitting around, looking at all the different samples.
Yes, there's millions here. Right. But I think my eyes are also trained to pick up that something.
What is that? Is there something that goes off in your head?
Somehow I do form a picture up in my mind already when I see something, and already I've got different photos in my mind, pop, 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 like that. So I have all the colors in my imagination to visualize what it's going to look like is very fast. So that's how I did Sevva on every single detail, including plates and staff's uniform and everything.
Now, there may be a bit of genetic advantage here. Your grandfather founded Wing On.
Yes.
In Shanghai, very successful department
that's
store.
Right, that's right.
And then
those are grand days.
Grand old days.
Yeah,
and then
days.
your sister, elder sister Joyce, you have said many times that she was your mentor.
She definitely is and was when I was working with her for over, I think, 16 to 18 odd years. She's my big sister, and she's always taught me many, many things.
So do you think it's a question of nature versus nurture? Have you been nurtured to be like this, or do you think it's just something that runs in the family?
I think I have been nurtured. Those were the days when we really saw a lot more cultural activities, be with the designers, eat at their homes. You do have all these inter-reactions with them. So it just became what I am now. You
absorbed it. And great training ground, because you weren't formally trained.
No, I wasn't.
You just picked it up.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
And then you worked at Chanel for a few years.
I worked with Chanel as the regional image director for Asia Pacific for 5 years.
And then you left fashion, and now you're more into, let's say, as you say, playing house.
And I wasn't even going to come back. I took a 1.5 year sabbatical. And when you don't work, it's like, oh, what's next? But I have to say, my exposure to all these beautiful things was immense. That's the greatest part of that.
What advice would you give to young fashion graduates now starting out in Hong Kong? Because the fashion industry, since you were working in it, has changed a lot. How do these fashion graduates make a statement, get into the business, and create something that can be considered international?
For me, I think best to really use all your imagination and your talent and never really give up. Because I find sometimes in Hong Kong or Asia, when, let's say, when a show comes out, I says, I know, that's like Yohji Yamamoto or Dolce & Gabbana last year. Don't try to copy. Use your own creative power to do something unique. And I think everyone should gang up together. I mean, something like PMQ, I think the government should really do more for it to make it alive again for Hong Kong.
But it's more than just creating spaces for young graduates. It's about taste. That's something that you were never short of because of your upbringing across the world.
I was trained too for many years. I've seen a lot, and it's whether do you like it or you don't. You know, some people don't care about it. You know, they are buyers of a certain brand and they go and do their job and that's it. I have a lot of passion in everything. I mean, why do I have to go around? I could probably hire an interior designer to do that. But I do enjoy, I have a lot of passion in doing all this creative stuff.
Passion is at the heart of everything that Bonnae does. Her tips for success are, you must love what you do and have a passion for it. Persevere, don't give up when the going gets tough. And build a reputation, be willing to learn from others, and be willing to reinvent when necessary. What do you think is interesting about Hong Kong if you wanted to create a Hong Kong brand of some sort? What do you think is interesting or something that you can convey?
I mean, Hong Kong has its own uniqueness, but I do think everything is about rental, isn't it, these days? Which
The high rents are killing creativity, perhaps?
Definitely.
Right.
And so I had quite a few sites that I was looking into for expansion, but after calculating, I don't think so. I think I'll just stick to my little pot. And there's many opportunities for me, let's say, to expand to different countries or even to China. So I'm working on that.
Join me in part 2 as we visit the crown jewel of Bonnie's mini empire. And later, Bonnie reveals the secret ingredients for her unique cakes. Welcome back to TYCOON Talk. I'm spending time with style doyen and hospitality entrepreneur Bonnae Gokson. After years working alongside her sister Joyce Ma in the world of high fashion, Bonnie is now a visionary creative force in her own right. We're heading for the tasteful tranquility of Bonnie's high-end restaurant in Central. Bonnie opened the location 7 years ago and it's been a magnet for the celebrity set and well-heeled ever since. I ask her how she was inspired to create this restaurant.
I just saw a beautiful book cover with watercolors, and I remembered those colors. And I kept on thinking, and as I went around in Hong Kong before looking at everything, every other restaurants, you know, to me they were a little bit too concrete. So I thought when I start Sevva, it has to have this home type of feel.
And what does Sevva actually mean?
Sevva is actually a Sanskrit word, and it means you offer the very best. And put your egos aside, you offer the very best in service to honor.
The restaurants don't normally have a long shelf life. What's the secret of keeping it fresh and reinvigorating it?
Well, I always have constant changes because this is really like a home. You know, you know, you can adjourn to another room. After your meal, you can choose rooms, and even down to the menu. It's sort of like home cooking here.
And what are the challenges of running a restaurant such as this, a high-end restaurant?
Plenty of challenges.
Staff, keeping the standards up?
Definitely, because you know, you accept staff, part-timers, just training part. And the front of house, back of house, it's one of the most difficult businesses.
Some would say that the service level in Hong Kong has gone down over the last decade.
It has.
And you think that's because there's so many restaurants now, it's just hard to find the right people, or is there something more psychological within our society that's changed over the last few decades?
It's our society that has definitely changed because younger people, they don't want to serve. No one really wants to go to the hospitality schools to learn, and they'd rather have part-time work that they could float around because they may not have a goal.
Running a high-end restaurant is notoriously difficult. Bonnie's top tips for budding restaurateurs are: develop a few standout signature dishes which should always be excellent, invest in good staff and build up a loyal team, and attend to the details. In the end, it's always the tiny details that count.
For me, I'm very hands-on still, and I think you really have to love what you do, because if you don't look into everything, you know, it's just going to disintegrate. You always have to like maintain. How do you keep it fresh all the time? That's why I run it like a home. I'm a woman, and you know, different floral displays, different changes, and maybe pop-up interiors. Wintertime comes, you know, put in some added fire, you know, just to make the magic.
Do you ever get to that stage where you feel, okay, enough's enough, I'm just going to move on?
I have definitely thought about it. Yes, what if I have to give up this whole place? I have to move, or let's call it quits. You know, I felt that moment, that second of what to do.
And you didn't like that feeling?
I guess I get very attached to things, you know. I have so many stories on even just the artworks, how it was brought up with 10 men, actually 20 men carrying it from, let's say, this is 25th floor, but you have to start in the basement.
Do you find that being a woman has made it harder for you, or actually has it made it easier?
As a woman, it was quite difficult for me to adjust to a whole group of men. I mean, I have been learning too. I mean, I've cried many times too.
You've cried many times?
Oh, yes, yes. I have. I sometimes I tell them, don't mind me, you know, I'm just emotional, I'm a woman.
But then you have to let people know that you have high
right.
standards. I mean, everyone knows Bonnie has high standards.
Yes, but it's a matter of interpretation, how you speak to them. And I have learned as well. You know, you have to also hear their story and what their mindset is, and why do I think like that when I let's say, criticize you. And this is my standard, this is how it's done. I mean, I have a whole team that's, when we go out each year to our staff party, oh, we're a little family, you know. So it's been a very beautiful journey.
You've been very successful as a female entrepreneur and restaurateur. And if you had to give yourself one job title, what would it be?
I'm basically a very busy girl Friday. No, really. But I need my time to have my own space too. My way of meditation, that I always say the word meditation, is I go out on hikes, I go and enjoy myself on different trips, and breathe, you know, smell the roses and come back and spread my energy again to my staff.
In 2011, Bonnie launched a line of decorative specialty cakes. I sit down with her at one of the 2 cafe bars that feature her cakes alongside other delicacies. She tells me how she got into this sweeter side of the business.
Well, when I started Sevva, there was already a cake corner. We had so many orders that we couldn't keep up. The kitchen was way too small, and I thought, why don't I have another line?
And what makes your cakes special compared to the competition?
What makes my cake special?
What's in your cake, Bonnie?
Well, it is all handmade, and you know, for myself, I always wanted the best, and I didn't want to subsidize like any cheaper products or whatnot. So, unfortunately, for example, the price goes higher.
In 2014, Bonnie published an award-winning book based on her unique cake creations. This is your book, Butterflies and All Things Sweet. It's won a few awards across the world, right?
It has. I was seriously very surprised in 2014, which was just last year, the Paris Book Awards. So I won top prize in that.
Amazing.
Sydney Design Awards, we won top prize in that. And also Benjamin Franklin in USA, we got silver prize. So
congratulations.
Not bad for first timer.
You're great at excelling as a first timer. What makes this book so special?
I knew I didn't want recipes in there, but it's a journey of all my thoughts.
You don't want people replicating you?
Let's face it, there's plenty of people replicating me right now across China even. Yes,
So people are stealing your cakes.
I've been seeing many, but whether you get the taste like that is a different thing.
So you art directed this?
Yes, and I have a fantastic team in Australia as well, who used to do a lot for Vogue Entertaining.
Oh, right.
This is a denser cake. It's a butter cake base with sesame. You know, Chinese people, they like sesame creams, almond creams. I always think, what does Asians like? You know, their taste bud. So we mixed with black sesame and coconut, and that really worked out.
How involved are you with coming up with the recipe? I mean, you work with a chef and you're like, let's make it like this, let's make it more like this texture.
I have a very good girlfriend from the Philippines, and she used to have a chain of pastry stores. She is the one who helped me to formulate all these sponges, all the basic recipes. It's like notes to music. I just put, you know, all the basics together and I think of different things. What fruits blend with what fruits. I come up with different textures and flavors. I think a lot.
Bonnae Gokson has baked beauty, style, and award-winning success into many different businesses, from her successful restaurant to her own unique brand of cakes. A sense of style, grace, and attention to detail is what keeps Bonnae a cut above the rest.